What an absolute nightmare. My gosh, this is a pure nightmare here. NIO stock. I mean, the 5-day graph speaks itself. They reported earnings on Tuesday, and let's just say down 26%. So what the crap happened here? What happened that made it this bad? Obviously, this is a little penny stock, which saw a little hype after IPO. Saw a little bit of hype upwards of the $10 range. Not bad. It reached $10 at one point. That's pretty cool, right? But this isn't cool. So let's just say this earnings was, it's interesting. Very interesting. So obviously, on an EPS standpoint, a pretty huge miss. Pretty big miss. 100%. So obviously that's not exciting. Don't want to be losing money per share. But you know what? That's what they're doing. So nothing that was unexpected. Obviously they were expected to lose money, but the amount of money they lost, not what we're looking for. So obviously on that reaction, people sold out of this like crazy. Super high volume, people just sold out. Absolutely tanked the stock. As far as revenue was concerned, they did grow revenue. Just saying. And obviously, since this, not been a company reporting earnings for a full year, they go off a quarter-over-quarter basis. So nothing too wild there. A little bit down for the quarter, but they did beat on a revenue standpoint. But yeah, so NIO discloses deliveries of 3,140 vehicles versus 3,989 in quarter one. Yeah, and that's 413 ES6s. So they really have, for the most part, two commercial models out right now, ES6 and ES8. Pretty interesting. Obviously not as good in terms of sales this quarter, which is why you saw that revenue decrease. Pretty rough. Obviously, they were expecting more in the future. What more can go wrong? Well, what more can go wrong is bad earnings, and so bad they canceled their conference call. So bad they canceled their conference call. Now that's when it's a nightmare. You know it's a nightmare if you can't even face the public because you messed up that bad. Good grief. And let's just see the guidance here. The guidance is half of what the normal consensus was. Half of what the consensus was for next quarter. Wow. That is rough. That's really rough. What can you expect? That's why I got absolutely hammered. But hey, there's some good news. NIO's gonna actually hold their conference call. That's right. Next day, they were like, well, we kind of messed up, screwed investors over, really shafted them, and they did. So they decided to hold a press conference. And, yeah, not that much improvement. NIO heads lower again. Wow. Morgan Stanley getting in on this. Why not? These analysts, pieces of garbage. Don't know what they're talking about. That's why this has been ravaged today. Price target slashed to 240 from 350. Still with the normal price target elsewhere of 495, but that is before adjusting for this earnings. So obviously things are going to change. That's just how analysts do. If a stock's gaining, they're going to say it's going to be a better price target than what it is now. If a stock starts to decline, they're going to just say it's going to decline more. Just because these idiots don't know how to think, they just go based off of trends. It's pretty wild. No analysis here. So NIO was down another 5% today. Very, very rough. As far as some That was wild. Can you believe that just happened? The mic loves attacking me. As far as some conference call notes, what do we have here that we wanted to show? So as far as their, obviously it's in foreign language, as they would say. I'm not going to call it anything else besides foreign language, but could be any language, to be honest, if that's all they're saying is foreign language. So they're going to explain it through what they call 4 factors here. Overall weakness in the Chinese auto market, which is a fair point. As far as the Chinese auto market, it is a very, very much untapped potential, but it's still struggling right now because the Chinese economy is struggling. A lot of that's just because of currency manipulation right now. Things are a little bit rough for China, but in terms of people, their auto market is a pretty big way to make some money, and if they get ahead, it'd be pretty awesome. Second, they say fierce competitive discounting, which is lowering prices of vehicles, which is why they saw a decrease in earnings per share. Third, electric vehicle subsidy reductions starting from late March and late June, which affected demand. Lastly, slowing consumer discretionary spending. Macroeconomic uncertainties surrounding U.S.-China trade. Exactly. So they're going to explain it in obviously ways that makes it sound not as good, but they have some positive notes, obviously. Despite overall environment, the first 8 months of 2019, the sales of ES8 ranked first in China's premium electric SUV market, so that's pretty cool for them. It was the only electric vehicle among the other 9 ICE models in the top 10 of overall premium mid to large SUV market. So that's a good sign for them, right? I guess in a weak market, they're doing well. We started deliveries on the ES6 in late June. Since then, we received broad-based positive reviews on the ES6 from both media and users. Obviously, good sign. They just released the ES6. Oh, shoot. That's just wild. They have some positive notes, but overall, it doesn't look good. If I want to counter this, and I think I can counter this, what I would say regarding this is that think of Tesla starting out. Think of Tesla right now even. Still a company that's losing money. But people are calling this a scam stock, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to. They have a product and they're selling it. A scam stock would be something like Helios and Matheson. They were the people who made, or dreamt of, it's hard to say they made, MoviePass, which was a monthly subscription where you get to watch a certain number of movies at theaters. By having that MoviePass, it paid for tickets. They didn't have a product at all, and people were so hyped and bought into that stock like crazy. And then it turned out, well, they don't have a product, and they went bankrupt and lost everything. Now, obviously, this is a company burning through cash very happily, very readily. NIO is burning through cash quickly. But they have support. Their biggest investor right now is Tencent. Tencent is a huge Chinese company, and they've got money to support NIO. The only issue here, obviously, there will be competition with Tesla going to be starting their production soon and starting to get into market. Obviously, Teslas are a little bit more highly priced than these models here by NIO. Usually, NIO is charging around 30-something thousand US dollars for these models. So to give a reference, we're going to go ahead take a look at them. So the ES6. Pretty standard looking car, nothing too fancy, pretty exciting. I love it. I kind of like the look of it, but some people might not. Nice little SUV look. SUVs are kind of in right now. I think this would be a pretty big hit in the American market, but it's not necessarily the same in China. They're more of a compact car environment, so something to look at. We also are going to quickly take a look at the ES8, which is a car they've been selling for quite a while now, which slightly looks like a piece of garbage. Don't worry about it too much. Only a little bit of garbage. So, not a huge fan of the design here, but it's pretty standard and sells quite a bit. So, it sells pretty well for them. We're just, as far as NIO stock is concerned, it's going to be a rough time. And there's a lot of uncertainty, and I don't think it's a safe stock to invest in. But it is a stock where it's been hit so hard now. If you're a contrarian investor, you want to invest in a company that's been beat down, this would be a decent pick because usually a company like this that sustains a 24% decrease, it's not going to be something consistent. Because if we look over a year, I mean, let's look at max time, right? So starting on September is when they IPO'd at $10. Pretty wild. They've been pretty well downhill. Lost 69% of their value. So again, it's so hard to say what's going on here. Obviously, it's a stock I would stay away from right now if I were you. But it's something that could, in fact, make you money if anything worked out. As again, it's entirely a speculative stock at this point. We don't know what's going to happen. The bright side of this company is they are selling vehicles. Now, they are selling for a loss every time, but they are selling vehicles, and they have a product. That's more than you can say about a lot of these smaller penny stock type companies. They don't really have a product, and they don't have a way to get it out. But NIO technically does, so it's something to consider. Overall, a freaking nightmare for any shareholders of this. Just, they've been done dirty. They've been done dirty. Normally when a company's got something really bad, they're going to pre-announce stuff. This is just rough. Just rough, but stay away from NIO stock right now. That's my take. And that's the news. Bye.